Hey folks, how you guys doing? On this episode of Tool Talk, we're talking about my planer, and this whole Tool Talk series is to build up a library of commonly asked questions about my tools so I can point people in an appropriate direction. So this is the DW735 planer, and if I'm not mistaken, the DW735X is this exact same planer with the metal table extensions on either side. This does not have the table extensions, or did not come with them, and I have not purchased them. Real quick, what I like, what I don't like, what I buy it again. What I really like is it's a very good performing machine. It's taken full 13-inch width passes or cuts very easily, and with as long as the blades are nice and sharp and you're not running crap through it, it'll produce a really good edge. It's got two different speed settings, a fast and a slow. Fast one's for dimensioning. The second one is for, the slow one is for finishing. And quite frankly, I've always used this thing on the slow setting simply because most of the time I can't keep up with feeding and pulling stuff off at the same time. So I leave it on the slow setting, and by the time I get to the other side, after putting in the next piece of wood through, I can grab the first one and so on. So it's got two different settings. It's got a height adjustment gauge on this side, which you can't see from this angle, but it's pretty much pointless anyway, in my opinion, especially considering I typically use this auxiliary bed in here. It's just a piece of melamine shelving, and it's not attached to anything. There's just a cleat on the bottom on both sides to stop it from going in and out, sliding back and forth, I should say. And the reason I use this isn't to necessarily reduce snipe or anything. It just gives me an extra little bit of in-feed support and out-feed support for smaller stuff. That way it doesn't fall down as soon as it exits the planer. So, what else do I like about this thing? It's got a fan chip ejection on here. So if you don't have dust collection, you can just put something to blow it in a certain direction. Or what I did for quite a long time, actually, which worked really, really well, is I put a section of 4-inch PVC on one side, just a slip fit. I didn't attach it in any way, just a slip fit 4-inch PVC. And on the other side of that PVC, I bungee corded a pillowcase, which sounds just ridiculously stupid, but it worked really, really well to collect all of the larger chips. Now, something like this doesn't really produce super, super fine shavings, so you need a canister filtration or HEPA filtration or whatever. Most of this is all just larger chunks, so that worked really, really, really well. I was very pleased with that. Now I've got it hooked up to my dust collector. So basically, if you don't have a dust collection system, you can still manage the dust from this, or the chips from this, with a simple little setup like that because of the fan chip ejection in here. Something I don't like is that the fan chip ejection is right on the top and pointing back. There's no shroud going off to one side, which I think would be better, because I've got this dust collection hose, this flexible hose, off to one side, and I've had to use some twine over here to hold it up out of the way, and it still slips sometimes, and this gets in the way of stuff being coming through on the outfeed side. So occasionally this does get in the way. I wish this was just a shroud facing one way. That way nothing would be in the way. It's heavy. I think there's a label on here. It's 92 pounds. And when I built my miter saw station, I made a specific tray for this to basically live in, and that way I could just pick it up and use it as needed. And it only took me about 2 or 3 times to realize that that was a dumb idea for me, because this thing's crazy heavy, and lifting it off the ground every time you wanted to use it is a little annoying. So right now I have it on a cantilevered style stand. It's working out really well, and I can move it if needed. However, it just gets parked right here. The vast majority of my tools or my large furniture stuff is on casters. That way I can move it as needed, but for the most part they seem to remain in a certain location, which this one has. This kind of sticks out way more than what's necessary, I think, because I've walked into it several times. John Heiss has the same planer. He chopped the handle off, and you have a nub here, I guess, a little ball handle. I think that would be sufficient. There's no need, in my opinion, for this thing to be crazy long, but that's something super simple and easy. The blades are indexed, so you can't adjust their height, which also means you cannot sharpen them. Now, the blades are two-sided, so when one side gets wore out, you can flip it. And they do have a little bit of adjustment left and right. So if you get a nick in all of your blades in one spot, well, then you can offset that nick or that little divot in the blade to where it won't affect the finished surface as much. But I really don't like the fact that you cannot adjust the height of these blades or you cannot sharpen the blades. So once they're done, and they're relatively expensive. So I purchased a couple sets of these blades at Lowe's, just the DeWalt brand blades at Lowe's for this particular machine, and I was very dissatisfied with the life of the blades. They dull really quick. So I purchased the next set online, and if I'm not mistaken, I don't recall 100%, but if I'm not mistaken, they are the exact same set of blades from DeWalt or whatever. But these have been in there for going on 1.5 years now, something like that. Even longer than that. I put them in my last shop. So these particular blades seem to be lasting a lot longer, and I haven't changed my practices as far as how I use the machine and what type of material I feed through it. So a couple sets that were horrible life. This set seems to be working out really well, although I do have a couple bad spots that I need to change them or rotate them or whatever. Would I buy it again though? Probably not. This is like if I'm not mistaken, like a $600 investment. And there's a couple nice things like the fan chip ejection, and it's 13 inches wide. But this thing still produces snipe the way I have it. I don't want to invest in any more tables or anything to change how the snipe is affected. I can feed stuff in on an angle and don't really have that much snipe. But basically what I'm saying is this thing still produces snipe just as well as the lesser expensive models. And as far as I know, the lesser expensive models will do the exact same thing. You're just planing wood. So I think I would probably, if I had to do it over again, buy like a $300 one. Maybe it's half the price of this. I don't know any model numbers because I haven't done any research off the top of my head. But I would most likely go and get a lesser expensive one and use the other money elsewhere in the shop, because this is one of those tools that eventually down the road, like a couple years from now, I do want to get a larger floor standing model, just like the last tool purchase in this category and it'll last forever kind of thing. So if it's one of those situations, then I think investing this much money into a bench top planer is just a little bit much. And also the changing the blades is relatively easy. There's a nice little tool that comes with it, magnetic top. Pop this cover off at the top, and then you're basically at the blades and you can change them. So changing them is relatively easy. But yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this answered all your questions. If you have any more questions on the machine, let me know in the comment section. I'll try to answer those. And if you have any other experiences with a benchtop planer that's less expensive than this and you are completely satisfied with, leave that down in the comment section below, because that'll probably help out a lot of other people as well. Thanks for watching. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you on the next one.